Latinos Out Loud podcast.
Yo, 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 yo. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, pussycats? It's the Latinos Out Loud podcast. What's up? Y'all know me? No? Okay, hi. I'm Rachel La Loca. That is the government. No, it's not. Hi, just Rachel. Hi, it's so good to be here. Yo, LOLeros, when I have friends on the podcast, well, everybody's a friend, but like when I have a friend who's here that has been a friend of mine for years, I just get so excited, jovial, happy, proud. And those are all the adjectives that I'd like to describe this guest with. She's also proud. She's doing it for nuestra cultura. Please put your hands together for playwright and producer Paola Soto. Dominican Pie, as she's known in the streets, all right? Google that, Dominican Pie. Which actually, like, what is Dominican Pie? As a friend of yours, could you let everybody know where that came from?
Well, it came from the nickname becoming Pie, because nobody says Paola, or not everybody says Paola. A lot of people say like Paola, and then from Paola
or Paola,
or
Paola. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the radio biz,
exactly. And from there to Pie. And then it's like, I'm not American, I'm Dominican. So now we have Dominican Pie.
I love it. See, like, one would think that there's some sort of, sweet Dominican pie that you're very sweet. So, yeah, you kind of are like a Dominican pie. But we don't really make pies, Dominicans. We make
Patelón.
Cakes. Yeah, right? Patelón.
But that's not really sweet. It's more like a shepherd pie.
Which is interesting. Yeah, Dominicans, we don't do like, apple pie or like, well, we do it.
But
But
you know
it's not
what?
like...
I think I figured it out. The stove. You're in DR. It's 900
It's
degrees.
too hot to make no pumpkin pie.
And
First of all, there's no calabaza in Dominican Republic. That shit gotta be imported and shit. Dominican pie.
Yes.
Okay, well, you're serving up some sweet pie for all of us here in the theater world in New York City. So tell us about Las Sosa Sisters and congratulations on your artist residence with the Oye group. I said a lot right now. Please elaborate for the LOLeros on what all of that means.
Well, La Sosa Sisters is a kind of semi-autobiographical piece. It's mostly about my family and specifically the women in my family. So my mother, my tias. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with abuelita, pero I really wanted to make sure that I try to capture what I feel is the essence of like both the wonderfulness and sometimes the downside of having a Dominican mother, which is like a lot of food. That's the way my mom shows love, is like she has to feed us.
Yep.
And then also a lot of like judgment and criticism.
Listen, I'm still trying to get order for my eating disorder that came from all those, lleno platos, that like, los platos llenos, que you have to eat everything on your plate.
Comer todo. Tú te vas a comer todo.
Es falta de respeto, si no. You know what I'm saying? Tu abuela estaba cocinando por horas, making the pastelón de arroz, and what you're going to do? You're going to leave half of it on the plate? Okay.
Exactly. Even though it's a little mountain, and I'm like, this is big. Like, this is supposed to be my meal for the whole day.
Anybody counting calories in this Dominican household right now? Anybody got a food scale real
quick?
It's
not even like the calories. It's just like, it's too much. Like,
it's
why?
Cantidad. Yeah.
But I really, so I really wanted to be able to capture that and this feeling that my mom is going to haunt me even when she's dead. Like, she's going to be with me even when she's dead. And then what does it mean to be a sister? What does it mean to be family when you're immigrants and most of your family is in a completely different country, that you can't just like have the money to be like, I'm going to come see you next, the next break. So it's just that, like, what does it mean to be family when you're separated by space and time? And what does it mean when as family we keep things from each other, things that are really important.
Secrets.
And the
For no
secrets,
reason.
yes. And then of course, like once somebody passes away and you have to go through their things, that's when you find out like, oh, pero yo no sabía. Like you had another. I found my mother's alive and well. But I was super nosy when I was younger, so I would go through her stuff. I think trying to get to know my mother, besides the woman that I knew, and I found love letters from a man that wasn't my father, and I was like,
Juicy.
"You have?
Espérate, let me flip
Wait
my
a
braid to the
second.
other side. Wait, what?
Like you had another love, like who loved you enough to write it down on like a letter and give it to you?"
This is so romantic.
I
My heart is
know.
like fluttering right now. Tell me
Yes.
about the content of these notes.
No, it was just like how like I love you, you're beautiful, I love spending time with you, I want to be able to spend more time with, like just really regular, you know, and some muela, because I feel like he was Dominican, because there was a lot of like sweetness in it, right? A lot of like, pero tú eres bellosa, yo amo pasando tiempo contigo, like all of these things, which I love.
yo sin frenos. That's one of my favorites, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The piropo. Keep them coming, Dominicans. Keep them
know.
coming.
I love it. I love it. It definitely brings you up. So from there, it really was just about, now I think it's really about trying to make sure that the play itself is the best that it can be before it even hits a stage.
What does that mean? The best
For
that
me,
it can be for you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for me, which is why I decided to go to school for playwriting, is I feel like it always starts with the story. It always
Columbia
starts.
University, by the way. Can I just state that for the record? She said school as if it weren't an Ivy League. Columbia, not the country, but university, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, y'all, but school
Proud
of the
of you,
arts.
girl.
So I don't know what that means.
Oh, no, let's not diminish. No. Let's not diminish, okay? Please
Oh,
continue.
thank you, love. I appreciate that.
Come on, son. I love my brilliant friends. I mean, all of them are brilliant, but you are I'm going to stop, but you are the truth.
Thank you. Yeah, so it just started with like, it was the play that got me into the school, that got me into Columbia.
You don't say.
Yeah.
It was a writing sample that you had put together?
Yeah, because when you apply to the graduate programs for writing, your application is really your piece.
Y'all heard that graduate program? Okay.
Yes. It took me a really long time, but I needed to have just like a couple of years to focus on playwriting instead of working. Because if like you're working full time, I know they say 40 hours, but it's really 60.
Word.
And I
Or
used to
more.
work at Juilliard, so it was really 60 sometimes. So
You dropping these very prestigious names right now, Juilliard. I just
Yes.
want to emphasize, okay? I'm like the echo. I'm not the host. I'm just the echo.
No, but yeah, so it was super like, it's crazy trying to juggle that like full-time life and have the energy and time to write.
And I just want to tell the LOLeros that you also made time for the Latinos Out Loud podcast and serving as producer for a really long time. And I just want to give you some flores right now for that, because anybody who has added to this pie, we're just going to continue that. Anyone who's added ingredients to this Latinos Out Loud dessert, it just does not go unnoticed to me. You added so many key, important, sweet, delicious ingredients, and you continue to. And I love you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I've loved being able to work with you, to like the premiere of the documentary at downtown in Manhattan. I can't remember in the Bowery Hotel. Oh my gosh, that was so cool.
Do you remember that?
That was really super dope. And then like the Blue Beetle.
The screening of
the
Blue
screening,
Beetle that we just
that
went
was
to.
so
Let's
much fun.
talk about it.
That was so cool. One, like go see it. It's really, it is really a beautiful, heartwarming film, and you should go see it with your kids.
Yeah.
With like your teenagers, because I think it's really made for them.
Yeah.
But we get so much joy out of it. George Lopez was amazing.
Nailed it, right?
The entire cast, the sister, everyone was really incredible. So much fun.
Abuelita.
Yeah, abuelita, and being able to kind of take that synergy and like us, once again as Latinos Out Loud, trying to make sure that we are promoting what the Latin community, Latino, Latina, Latinx, whatever you prefer. Yes. It's just important that we that there's a platform, because if there's not a platform, then people think that we don't exist, or we only exist the way the media portrays us, which is in really kind of like the worst of the worst, and not really being able to give a space to show what we can do that is beautiful and heartwarming and about building community.
Exactly.
So it's been so much fun working with LOL. It's so great that you guys are now in this new space with this new like recording studio. And I'm excited to see what happens next. You know?
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's such a journey, you know.
Yeah, always.
This process
Yes.
is just so not overnight. It's not even funny. It's like sands on the hourglass. So are the days of our lives. That was how that soap opera
and
opened.
the days
I
are
was
long.
obsessed. The
And
days are long.
really long.
The nights are just
Even longer.
torture sometimes when you're writing through the wee hours of the night. And I want to talk about your process. Tell
So the
us.
process for me in terms of writing is I write when I can. I come from a family that doesn't have a lot of money, and we were in poverty. Literally, we were like in the poverty line when I first came to the U.S. And so like I have to figure out how to make a living, right? Like I have to figure out how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay rent? AT&T sucks, but they demand their money every month. Damn them.
And forget it. Listen, I'm on to you, AT&T. I see that when I don't pay my bill on time, my service diminishes a little bit. I get a little less 5G. All of a sudden, it's like 4G, 3G, 2G.
LTE,
the more days
what the
that
heck
goes
is
on.
LTE? Light?
That means you're not paying your bill. And they're going to shut the lights off.
Late on your payments.
That's
what
it.
that means.
LTE without the A means you're late on your payment, and AT&T gonna cut your shit off. So no WhatsApp, no nothing. Okay.
But yeah, so it's gone from that to like to just then finding time, right? So sometimes I'll write until 3:00 in the morning. Sometimes I wake up early so that I have enough energy and spend like at least 2 or 3 hours writing.
So clusters at a time.
Yeah,
or chunks
exactly.
at a time.
Yes. And and I'm a very slow writer, so it takes me years. Like I've been working on this play for over 6 years at this point.
Wow.
And because it just takes time for me. And I think some stuff, like I always say, like some things can't be written until they happen. So there's just things where it's like, oh, this is what I'm missing from the piece. Yeah. And now with this process, I'm just trying to being able to to have a 29-hour workshop with a reading means that like for a week, I'm in the space with actors.
Intense.
With having them read it. And so like that to me is really when you start to do like this new phase of the work, which is more listening, more figuring out what it is that you're missing, where you want it to go. Yeah. So for that reason, it just like it will take me 3, 4, 5 years just to get like even to get to like this is a draft that I can share.
I love talking about this. We just had H. Alberto, the writer and director of Dante and Aristotle, Discover Secrets of the Universe. I'm very proud that I nail that title. Every time I say it, I practice it in the mirror for a long time the night before the interview. And she was telling us that her process was 9 years for the film. Yeah. So at first, she read a book that inspired her, adapted it, wrote the screenplay, presented the screenplay to the author. Yeah. The author was like, I love it. You have the rights. Boom. Now it's a film in theaters produced by Trepa Studios, Eugenio Derbez, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Eva Longoria. Check out that episode, LOLeros BT Dubs. But the process, we talked about John Leguizamo's process. His one-man shows take like a decade. So all of this stuff to say, like, the process is your own. Yes. Yeah. But one thing to note is that patience is involved here.
Oh my goodness, yes.
How do you find all the patience? How do you go to sleep at night knowing that, okay, this is going to be up on its feet in a few weeks, but it's going to be a long time coming. There are going to be rewrites. There's going to be a recast. There's going to maybe off Broadway. I mean, what's that like for you mentally, and how do you overcome that?
Well, I'm a A-type personality and a Capricorn. So I think that like I am very much goal oriented as a person. And so yeah, and I'm meticulous. Like I will like write something over and over again until I feel that it's correct where it needs to be. So it takes a lot of time, which means that there is patience. The writing doesn't come, you sit down and nada.
What happens at that moment? Like, okay, I'm going to draw the parallel to my experience. When nothing is coming out and the joke is just not funny, I get frustrated. I question myself. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing for a living if I can't even write this cockamamie joke? Am I a comedian? Who am I? Or am I just a wannabe comedian? Have I established myself as a comedian? Can I call myself a comedian on my Instagram page? Like, what the fuck? That's my process. All these voices in my head are like fighting each other. Like, you're good enough. You're not good enough. You're great. What are you talking about? You're amazing. You're the best. I'm like, ha ha.
Literally, yes.
Does that happen to you?
Me. That happens to me all the time. I really, that voice in my head is my mother.
Oh, so it's in Spanish.
So it's in Spanish and doesn't understand why I decided at 13 that I wanted to do theater.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, it's just like, I think once again, a Dominican immigrant mother, that means that I brought you here to get an education so you can get a good job. And theater does not offer good jobs and doesn't pay a living wage. It doesn't. Theater really has you do it for the love, and then every once in a while you may get a check.
Right. Can I pause real quick on that? Theater in the Dominican Republic is not what theater is in the United States, right? So there's this generational view and maybe this misunderstanding.
Also, theater in the DR is super white supremacist. So, like, if you go there and you see a lot of the shows are mostly light-skinned Dominicans.
Problem, warning,
which
warning,
is the same problem
red
that
alert.
we have. Yeah, which is the same problem that we have here in America. Like, it's not really that different. I just think that there have been hard-fought like battles before we arrived of cultures and groups going like, we need to fund the arts. If we don't fund the arts, like, what is the point of being a country? And it's true. Like, I think without the arts makes everything better, whether that is writing or
just an
my
appreciation of it
visual
too.
arts, and music, whatever it may be. I just think that like I'm a better human being, and I know this because I suffered from depression and anxiety and got it very, very bad when I wasn't able to do theater at all. So I need a creative outlet, because if not, then like my spirit literally starts to
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. I don't. Also, like, I think most playwrights I know have some form of like mental health thing going on. A lot of them have therapy. I had this amazing professor who like really was honest and forthright with us about the fact that she is in therapy, and I think that for me helped to really kind of be like, this is not like, I go get checked. I check my teeth every year.
You got some
every
great
2
pearly
years.
whites.
Thank you.
You got some great teeth, guys, in case you're not seeing them. Yeah, it's beautiful.
But so I should be doing the same thing with my brain. Like, there's a lot going on in there. It doesn't shut off. I do have trouble sleeping. That's why like I do write a lot. But once again, it's all, I think, part of like being an immigrant, coming from like poverty in what's called a third world country, even though it's not. We all live in one world. It's just another country. But coming from there and living in poverty there, and then living in poverty in America, especially New York City, where there's so much wealth, and all the trauma of like growing up as a woman, I think I think it does a number on you. I don't think that there's any way that it wouldn't.
But what a blessing it is to be an artist and to be able to take all of that and to redirect, to reroute it, and put it towards a project that will educate and entertain. Yes. I want to thank you for putting your family's story out there. Yeah. What was it like digging into that, rewriting history in your own words? Talk about any traumas that you may have had to written about?
I mean, I think the play is about trauma and how we pass it down from one generation to the next. and how when we think we're doing the best for what we think is the best for our family, may actually not be. And I think like also like, parents, we're all human beings, we're all trying. There's no manual.
Right.
It doesn't like there's billions of books about it, but it's still there's no like
so many books. Like, can I just say the Trying to Conceive books? That whole like franchise. Yeah, they didn't write in any of those books that my punani was going to turn purple during pregnancy.
God.
I wish somebody would have told me that, because one day I was like,
thank
"What
you
is
for
this
telling me
indigo
that.
punani that I now have?" Like, oh yeah, you should change this color. A lot of things change color. I think also with us that are like have a Caribbean or whatever background. Like, I started seeing like spots on my body. I was like, oh, melanin. This is great. I always knew I had it in me. But it's coming out now in my nipples and my nani. That's okay. Yeah, that happens.
Oh my God.
And what to expect? That's the franchise I was talking about.
Yes.
What to expect when expecting.
So I just like now that I'm older, right? I've realized like she was doing her very best and she did a great job. I'm not gonna I don't want to take anything away from the way that I grew up in my family, because my family is very we're close. It's a big family, a lot of people, but everyone's is very close with each other. And I just feel like I want to honor that. But there is, of course, trauma involved, because I think in living life is traumatic, especially in this kind of society. In the societies that we're living in today, I feel like, oh yeah, like you're just like my mother grew up with trauma and she tried to do her best and then she passed it down, as much as she tried. It's like that's what happens. And I think all that we really can do is, one, go to therapy, like find a therapist or a psychiatrist. Do you need medication? I'm like, whatever is needed to like help you realize that things are not as bad as they seem.
Right.
And that sometimes it's us putting that filter of like, oh, that's horrible, that's bad, I shouldn't do that, that
woe is
voice.
me.
Yeah, exactly. I think the way that we see things make them worse than they may actually be. Yeah.
So now you're knee deep in this process.
Yes.
You got a big week coming up next week. Yes. And the week after that. So what can we, the fans, what can we expect, and when can we see this, and how can we see Las Sosa Sisters?
So a reading of it is taking place on September 15th at the Noma Studios, which is located in the United Palace.
Shout out to Noma, the Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance.
Thank you.
God, thank you so much. We love you guys.
I was blessed enough to get an individual artist grant for with Las Sosa Sisters, so that's why we're having the reading.
Aplaudir eso. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A grant is good.
Yes, it's. I mean, literally, it's like getting a grant or getting anything for what the work that you do is what keeps you going.
Such a gift.
Because if not, otherwise you're like, ay, pero por qué estoy haciendo esto? Like, I'm writing. Right. This stuff is never going to see the light of day.
And you got to make those phone calls. Could you do this for me for free? Please, I promise to pay you next time. I'll give you a kidney if you want.
Exactly. And so now I wanted to like kind of move through the world a little bit different. So like, one, make sure that I can pay all my artists. So I'm using the funds to pay all the artists.
Yes, to paying the artists.
Yes.
Yes.
And to actually pay the actors above rate.
Yes, to paying the actors.
Actors only make $100 a day or $175. They're only like $100 a day for a week of work when it's a reading. That's the standard, which I think is crazy. So I just like write it, like, I think thinking of myself, one, because I've been producing for Latinos Out Loud, really putting that producer's cap on for myself. Because I keep saying, like, I work with all these amazing artists like Lemon Anderson.
Shout out to Lemon, former guest of the Latinos Out Loud podcast.
Yes. Lee Edward Colston, who's an actor that graduated from Juilliard, but is also a playwright and a TV writer.
Awesome.
And so, like, I get to work with all of these amazing people, and I keep saying to myself, like, I wish I had a me for me. Because like I'm the one that's always like, especially
I wish
working
I had
with
a me
Lemon.
for me too.
Yes, it's just that idea of like, I need to be
Right.
like, I need
Is
somebody
me
to tell
out there? If me is out there, please call me 978 Latinos. I'd love to meet me and do wonderful things with me.
Yes.
I
and
mean, I
that's the
already do
point.
some wonderful things with me on the daily. But, other wonderful things that I'd like to do with me. So me, holler at me.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's just that idea of like, and I think from your time at People en Español of like, you're organized, you're creative, you're goal-oriented, and taking all of those skills and then giving it to another company, but then not applying it to yourself.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, okay, I need to be I am my producer. Every playwright is their first producer.
You're right.
Because you're writing
playwright.
it. Yeah, exactly. And a producer unpaid because I'm the one that like gets everyone
The
and,
dot
and brings
connector.
it. Yeah, exactly.
The phone dispatch. Hello, how may I connect your call? Please hold. Hi, can I make a call? Huh? Please. Yeah, like the switchboard operator.
Yeah, what's going on? What's happening with this? What's going on with that? So so then I'm really trying to apply to a lot of grants because that's the way that artists get money and are able to get money, which is great.
May your grants be granted.
All the time, and you too, love.
Thank you.
Too.
I've applied. I'm in a whole waiting process right now to see. They said September. I've been glued to my email, like glued to my inbox, y'all. Like Gmail and I'm just gonna get the Gmail icon tattooed on my back because we're very close.
I hope you get it. But just so you know, I think I applied to like 100 things and I got one in a year. Like that's the way
the odds are just.
It's just the numbers.
Yeah, those are the odds.
And you have to keep doing it every year. So it feels like I'm applying to graduate school every year.
Filling out the FAFSA.
And
the freaking FAFSA.
Every time you apply to a grant, I do feel like you're applying to get into graduate
Those
school.
were some of the worst nights of my life. Filling out that FAFSA with my Spanish-speaking mother and
when nobody else
frustrated father.
Yeah, and when nobody else in your family went to college, so you're the first one.
Right, they're like Pell Grant. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, like anyway. So I am super happy about the upcoming reading. The fact that Noma did give me the grant to be able to have this reading at the Noma Studios. So please come check it out.
Tell everybody where they can follow and cop tickets and follow your career because it's exciting.
If you want to support, come check out my work. Follow me on social media, Dominican Pie. The same social handle across all the media. And then also I am a current resident for the year of Oye Group, which is an amazing theater company started by a Dominican and led by a Dominican artist. So
Pero huepa, coño.
Modesto Flaco is amazing and started this group and this theater company and has been they have been focused on the work that he does because he's an amazing solo performer, poet, and actor. And then now this year he opened it up to 2 residents, and I'm one of the 2. So check out oyegroup.org. Check it out. Oye,
I love the name. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just need a mira now because I feel like Oye Mira. Like I feel like
that's
the
great.
Dominican.
And then they can collaborate and it can be the Oye Mira group. It's perfect, actually.
We always love to like create.
We're like branding geeks, like
marketing nerds of like who love to be like, this is how you can make your thing better.
We've always done this though, like just go off on like marketing tangents and like discussions. I love our industry talks, actually. Yes. You're brilliant. That's why I love having brilliant friends. We had so much fun at that screening. Here's to many more screenings. Listen, before we wrap this interview, this may or may not be a difficult question for you. I'm not sure. I just feel like you have been writing and experiencing and re-experiencing things and the trauma you spoke about earlier, and you've been doing this for a while. You've been producing events. You've been going to school for so long. It's so admirable. Yeah. You are. The LOLeros are listening right now, and it's like, yo, Columbia University, a Dominican from New York, MFA
for playwriting, not law or accounting, like her mother told her to.
Here's my question to her. So, Paola, you're talking to a younger Paola. Maybe let's go 2 decades back, okay? What are some words of advice that you have for her, knowing what you know now?
follow your heart, follow your spirit. They will never lead you astray. Follow your gut instincts. They'll never lead you astray. If you want to do it, do it. As long as it's not hurting anybody, right? As long as it's not hurting yourself. Like if this is something that you're passionate about, whatever that may be, whether it is art or whether it is law, like, you know, whether it's justice or
We
whether...
need Dominican lawyers. We need Latino
Yeah,
lawyers.
we need Latino. We need
Yeah.
I don't know if we need more Dominican politicians, but even like if you want to do, you know, good for the public, there's like, you know, so many ways to contribute. But whatever it is that you want to do, especially as a woman, we're always told that we shouldn't and that we can't. And no, and we're policed in a way that that the other gender or different genders are not policed. And so for me, I'm always telling like young girls, little girls, like, yo, if you want to do it, do it. Figure out a way to make it happen. If you don't live by a theater, start your own theater company with your friends.
Ooh.
If not, then like if you can drive to a theater or you have a favorite theater, go to them. Go like, can I get a job here? I've worked and have interned in a lot of off-Broadway theaters. And yeah, and it really just, I just feel like when you suppress yourself, when like you're not doing what your spirit is telling you to do, you're not happy.
It's true. I love those words of advice. You know, you could turn your sala into a theater. You could turn your basement into a
Yes.
theater. I've performed in very many basements, asbestos and all, okay? So I'm not advising that. Kids, don't try this at home. But hey, you can really get your art out there on so many different platforms nowadays. There are keys handed to us on the daily, but you got to open the door, people. Can't just stand there with the keys in
and
your hand, like,
sometimes
which
you
way do
gotta-
I go? Which way do I go?
Well, sometimes as women, I feel like the key is hid from us, and we got to go find the key.
Oh, yeah, but
before we can even open
we
the
have
door.
those skills, ladies. You know, we are detectives, okay? We know how to
my God.
find things, search
All
and
the time.
recover units,
All the
search and
time.
recovery. So, listen, thank you so much for blessing us on the mic, because this is like a different
I know it
facet
is.
of our relationship dynamic.
I love it.
Yeah, like this is fun, actually.
Yes, I love being able to bounce off of you.
I love talking to you, period. But now that there's microphones in front of us, it's kind of cool. And Kaba's in the building. Like, we're doing this for a show. It's so crazy. Like, we're just talking like we usually talk, but for Latinos Out Loud.
Exactly.
That's what this is. This is the Latinos Out Loud podcast. Shout out to Paola Soto. Please check out Las Sosa Sisters and everything else that this woman is putting out there. It's just all fire. More fire. Trust you me. You know how I feel about Jamaicans. You know how I feel about Jamaica. We've had this talk as well. And shout out
We
to
have
that.
to plan a trip.
Yeah, we're going to Jamaica one day. Oh, for sure. And we have to catch up on that HBO event that we had fun and met some interesting people at. Okay, I'll leave it at that. You know she knows my story well. Eloleros, one day we'll talk love on this podcast. One day we'll talk love and relationships. One day. On that note, I want to thank you. I want to tell you that I love you, and I want to thank you for putting all that work out there and putting your heart on paper for us,
Thank
us
you.
to receive.
And thank you for LOL. It is a wonderful platform, and I can't wait to see it grow to its full, its full size. As it
Your
should.
mouth to God's orejas. LOLeros, thank you so much for watching and listening to another episode of LOL. I hope you LOL'd, and I hope you LEARNED some stuff too. I love acronyms and spelling things out on this show, if you don't already know. I also love to rhyme. I just did all the time. Okay, we're going to stop.
Nonstop,
I know,
every
it's
day, all
nonstop.
day.
How do I turn it off? I don't know. If somebody here knows how to turn it off, let me know. I don't. And I shall not. I shan't. So it's been another episode. Thanks so much. Check out the others. There's a whole catalog of over 360 episodes for your listening and viewable enjoyment. On that note, please follow us at We Are Latinos Out Loud. Give us a call. It's no big whoop, 978 Latinos. If I don't answer, I will check the voicemail. And if it's a good enough voicemail, we'll play it on air. Thanks so much for your support. On that note, we are out.
It's the Latinos Out Loud podcast.